Thank you to my patrons. Your generosity and commitment to my work is astonishing. I sincerely appreciate it.
This argument is utter garbage. It is nonsense. And for you to get on stage and think that you have refuted atheism in 2 minutes with such hogwash, it demonstrates an arrogance that is obscene.
If you ever try to bullshit me like that again, I will rip off your arms.
Hey everyone, Magic Skeptic here, and welcome to episode 1 of The Most Annoying Religious People. Up for today's discussion is Pastor Glyn Barrett, who is very fucking annoying. I'm going to show you a video of Pastor Glyn Barrett, and this video is titled How to Defeat an Atheist in Under 2 Minutes. A pretty bold claim. This comes from the channel Revived Life, and as soon as I read the description of this video, you'll be all the more frustrated. It says, and I quote, Pastor Glyn Barrett provides a simple yet profound illustration to refute atheism. Well, I can tell you this much, having watched the video already, it is simple. It is incredibly simple. Simple in a particular kind of way. Simpleton comes to mind, right? I'm laughing now. I'll be frustrated in a while. The title of this video series has been chosen for a very good reason. What you're about to hear is indeed truly frustrating. If, and only if, you value truth. If and only if you value logic, reason, and good epistemological standards. So without further ado, let's get right into Pastor Glyn Barrett's supposed refutation, 2-minute refutation of atheism. I wouldn't hold my breath if I were you.
A little while ago, I was invited to a university to speak at the Atheistic Society. They said, Pastor Barrett, we would like you to come and get involved in a debate with all the atheists. I said, fine. I said, what's the heading? Well, what's the caption? What are we debating on? And they said this, the debate is this, the premise is, there is no God.
Apologies for such an early interjection into the pastor's presentation here, but I already have cause for doubt. So he says that this atheistic society that invited him to speak wanted to debate the statement, there is no God. I'm inclined to doubt this. You might say, why? Well, in my experience, and I've been involved in the atheist community now for quite some time, and having read a good chunk of the literature and so on, I'm not aware of many atheists who will defend the positive assertion, there is no God. And there's a very good reason for that. Verifying the non-existence of something is exceedingly difficult. So if I say that there are no gods or that there is no God, that means that I'm assuming a kind of omniscience. I'm assuming a kind of all-knowing perspective. Because to say that there absolutely is no God means that I have explored the entirety of reality. Not just the known universe, but the unknown universe and anything that might reside beyond it, if that concept even makes sense. But even that phraseology there kind of hints at the problem that I'm talking about here, which is you can't really rule anything out 100%. It can always possibly be true, it's just that we don't know it yet. But it does depend on the proposition. So if I tell you, for example, that there is something in my hand, and then I open my hand and show you that there's nothing there, we have verified that there is nothing in my hand. Right, so we're verifying a negative there. The claim, there is no object in my hand. I mean, that's easily verified, right? Fine. But that's because we're talking about simple statements there. You know, simple objects, simple ideas, simple physics, right? Something that actually manifests in reality. The problem with the God proposition is that it is, in my view, unfalsifiable. In other words, the claim is constructed such that it is impervious to investigation. When you investigate the God claim and you come to the conclusion that you cannot see God, religious people will say, well, that's because God is transcendent. He is invisible. When you say that you cannot hear God, they'd say, well, that's because God is silent. He exists outside of space and time and so on. And when you say, oh, but, where is the evidence? Why can't I weigh God? Well, because God is non-physical. God is a kind of a transcendent, soul-like substance. And there's all of these qualifications. And all of these qualifications add up to turn God into a proposition that is indistinguishable from a God that arguably just doesn't exist. The proposition is weightless, it cannot be seen, cannot be tasted, cannot be touched, cannot be quantified in any conceivable way. And if it cannot be accessed or investigated or measured or weighed or quantified, well then it's indistinguishable from nothing. And so to claim that this thing doesn't exist is a pretty tall order, which is why most atheists take what has become known as the lack-theist position. They just say that they do not believe the claim that God does exist. They just have a lack of belief in the claim that theists make about God existing. And so when this pastor gets up on stage and says that he was invited to an atheist conference or an atheist society, and that the contention or that the statement being debated was that there is no God, I'm inclined to doubt him here. I am inclined to doubt him. I don't necessarily believe that this happened. Now look, I could be wrong. There are atheists out there who will defend the claim that there is no God, but I'm certainly not one of them. All I say as an atheist is that when theists make the claim that God exists, all I say is that I'm unconvinced of your claim. That I doubt the veracity of your claim. And so, yeah, I just wanted to interject here because we haven't gotten to the necessarily really annoying bit yet, albeit you can probably already see this guy's condescending tone. But I just thought it was worth mentioning here that I already have doubts about the sincerity and the veracity of this story. But let's continue.
The premise is there is no God. I said, okay. They said, yeah, the president of the atheistic club, he will stand up and he will share for 15 minutes on how there is no God. And then we're going to give you 10 minutes to prove to us that there is a God.
And now my doubt is reaching fever pitch because I've never in all of my life witnessed a debate where the speakers were given unequal time. Really? The president was given 15 minutes and they told you that you'd only have 10 in order to respond? I don't believe you, sorry. My doubt has now graduated to become a full-blown suspicion that you are a liar, sir. I'm sorry, but let's continue.
And then we're going to give you 10 minutes to prove to us that there is a God. I said, bro, I don't need 10, I only need 2 minutes. He said, come on down. So I went down, I won't tell you which university it was, but I drove to Cambridge, and when I got to Cambridge, I go into this lecture hall, right? And there's, 1,800, 1,000 students there. And the lead atheist, he gets up and he's preaching. And he's spitting and he's frothing at the mouth and he's eloquent, he's brilliant. How can any rational person believe that there is a God? You got to be stupid to believe that there is a God. And all these sorts of things, all the things that you've heard.
Again, I feel the need to interject, but nope. I don't see that happening at atheist societies. I don't see people standing up and saying that you're stupid for believing in God. I don't see people standing up and saying that you're a moron if you believe in God. I don't see people saying those kinds of things at all. Now, in my weaker moments, I've become frustrated with theists and I've called them silly or stupid or what have you. But I think it would be pretty disingenuous to look through my channel and suggest that that was in keeping with the entire character of the work that I've produced. No, I have done my best to deal with religious claims in a serious and systematic and robust way, detailing the fallacies, breaking them down in videos that, let's face it, are hours long. And I see atheists in other domains doing exactly the same. I see them having rational discussions. I don't see atheists standing up and saying religious people are just stupid and religious people should just, get over it and you'd have to be a moron to believe any of this stuff. Now, maybe there are some atheists out there like that. Undoubtedly, there are. I'm just saying I don't see that as being in keeping with the spirit of the entire movement, which it seems this guy is trying to hint at here. And I don't like it. I don't like this insinuation he's making. I don't like it at all. It's pretty damn annoying, right? And so, yeah, I just wanted to interject there and make it clear that this is not how atheists typically negotiate arguments and discussions with theists. If anything, it's done with class, it's done with style, it's done with regimental commitment to logic, reason, and good epistemological standards. And to the extent that there are some unpleasant atheists out there, I think they're very much the minority. Now, maybe this pastor was invited to a rather negative atheistic society who are quite childlike in their atheism. That's possible. But given my suspicions from earlier in his presentation, I'm inclined to doubt the overall sincerity and veracity of this story. I'm not convinced.
And then they said, and now we're going to get Glyn Barrett, he's going to come up and tell us why there is a God. Have you ever read the verse, led like a lamb to the slaughter? So I get up on stage and there's boos and hisses and all these sorts of things, and I come up the front and I just said to the guy, I said, listen, you spoke so eloquently. I said, come and join me on stage. So he came and joined me at the podium at the front there, and I said, you believe there is no God? He said, there is no God. You cannot be a rational person and believe there is a God. I said, okay, help me out with this. I want to show you something. And I drew a circle on a whiteboard like this. I said, this circle represents knowledge. Everything that could ever be known about any subject fits in there. All the sciences, all the arts. You're an intelligent man. You study at this university. How much do you know of everything that could possibly be known? So he took a pen and he drew that and he went, I reckon I know this much. I said, wow, you're intelligent. He said, yeah, I am. I said, that's brilliant. I said, so that's what you do know? He said, yes. I said, and that's what you don't know? He said, yes. But this does exist. You just haven't discovered it yet. Yes. Therefore, could God not exist in a dimension that you haven't yet discovered? Answer, yes. Therefore, sir, I would suggest you're not an atheist, you're an agnostic, and one step closer to knowing my Jesus.
Goodness gracious me. What you've just witnessed is one of the most exquisite and explicit examples of sophistry ever. It is unbelievably annoying and unbelievably smugly presented. Let me give you an illustration, right? So, I'm going to invite you up on the stage, okay? So you're invited up on the stage and I draw my little circle, profound, okay? So, in this circle is knowledge. That's everything that could ever possibly be known. How much do you think that you know, dear listener? And if you're humble, and if you're reasonable, and if you're not arrogant, you're going to draw a very similar line and you're going to say, I probably know about that much, right? I know about that much. And that's fair enough. And that, that would be very smart. That would be amazing. You must be an intelligent person. So you would admit that there's a whole bunch of stuff out here, the rest of knowledge that could ever possibly be known that you're not aware of yet. Stuff that you haven't learned, right? Stuff that's there, that's yet to be known, but you just don't know yet. Fair enough? Well, couldn't the existence of unicorns be in that part of the circle? Couldn't the existence of unicorns be in that part of the circle? Yeah, it could be. Well, then I submit to you that you're not really an unicornist. You're not really a person who doesn't believe in unicorns. You're actually an agnostic. You're in the middle. You're not sure on the existence of unicorns, so therefore you're agnostic. Ha! Mic drop. You're a step closer to believing in unicorns. Are you kidding me? Are you actually kidding me? This is a spectacularly weak and annoying argument. The condescending tone, the smugness of this pastor, this Barrett fellow. Oh, goodness gracious me. He makes me feel violent feelings. I'm kidding, guys. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm being a bit hyperbolic here, sure. But look how ridiculous this argument is. This argument could be used for any proposition in the history of propositions. I've used unicorns here. But you can insert any other god here. Gods that he doesn't believe in. Right? We could put any god here. Right, let's do it right now. Let's cross out unicorn, and I'm going to write Wahe Guru. There's Waheguru. Waheguru. Forgive the handwriting, I'm a bit awkward position here. But Waheguru, that is the god of Sikhism. A religion that this Pastor Barrett obviously doesn't follow. He's a Christian who follows Jesus. Well, Waheguru could be in the bit that you don't know, sir. Or are you going to suggest that you know all the bit in the remainder of the circle? So maybe you're agnostic on Waheguru, are you? No, I don't think you are, because you're a Christian. Let's go one step further here and forget about gods altogether. Maybe the truth is that's residing in the outside of this circle in the knowledge that we do not have yet. Maybe the thing that's residing there is the fact that there is no God. There is no God. Maybe that's the truth that's residing in the bit of the circle that you have yet to discover. You see, Pastor Barrett, you can put anything in the I don't know in order to make your supposed profound knockdown argument or refutation of atheism. This argument is utter garbage. It is nonsense. And for you to get on stage and think that you have refuted atheism in 2 minutes with such hogwash, it demonstrates an arrogance that is obscene. It demonstrates a lack of understanding about epistemology. It demonstrates a lack of rationality and reason. You, sir, are a moron. An annoying, frustrating, rude, arrogant moron. I'm running out of adjectives here. Not once in the history of this channel, and I'm a dyed-in-the-wool atheist, not once would I attempt to suggest that theism can be debunked in 2 minutes, and I am an ardent atheist. Right? Now, you want to call me an agnostic because I have the intellectual honesty to acknowledge that I don't know everything, because that is your argument. Oh, Mr. Atheist, you don't know everything, do you? No, I don't. So couldn't God be residing in the bit that you don't know? Well, yeah, sure. You're an agnostic, and you're a step closer to Jesus. But I can just reverse your argument. Hey, Barrett, do you know everything? No, you don't. Couldn't the truth that there is no God be residing in the bit that you don't know? Well, you know, maybe. Although you can't say that, can you? Because it destroys your entire argument. Your argument is garbage. You are an annoying religious person. This is why you've been chosen for episode 1 of this series. So guys, do you agree with my criticism? Do you think Barrett is an idiot here? Have I gotten it wrong? Have I misunderstood the argument? I don't happen to think I have. Either way, I hope you enjoyed episode 1 of the most annoying religious people. Before this video wraps up, it's time for me to answer a Patreon question. Take it away, Dara. I want to take this opportunity to answer a Patreon question. And listen, if you want to submit a question for me to answer in a video just like this one, all you have to do is subscribe to my Patreon, which can be found in the description below. Just make sure you subscribe to one of the tiers that permits you to submit a monthly question. So guys, with that said, the question I'm going to answer today comes from Callum. Callum is a longtime supporter of mine, and he submits the following question. Hi Dara, I know it's late. I'm sorry, I just thought of this and I had to write it down. For the last couple of weeks, maybe a month now, I've been wrestling with the idea of anti-theism. I know you're a skeptic. I guess what I want to know is what you think of this idea. Well, first of all, Callum, thank you very much for submitting the question, and thank you very much for supporting me on Patreon. It is enormously appreciated, and what a great question it is. I think before I answer it, it's important that we essentially define what we mean by anti-theism. Now, perhaps, Callum, you have a different idea in your head, and if that happens, make sure you follow up with a message on Patreon. But for now, my understanding of anti-theism is that anti-theists are atheists, but it doesn't necessarily work the other way around. So all anti-theists are atheists, but not all atheists are anti-theists, right? So what does that mean? In other words, anti-theists are atheists who take it one step further. Anti-theists are atheists who not only don't believe in any god or gods, but they're actually quite happy that it's not true. They're quite contented to believe that it's false. You see, guys, there are atheists who lament their atheism. There are atheists who regret having lost their faith. I've interviewed some of them on this channel. So I've had several dialogues and conversations with one Brian O'Neill. I think Brian has gotten to the point where he identifies as an atheist, but Brian has said on multiple occasions on this channel, and I'm sure Brian won't mind me saying this because it is a matter of record, but Brian has lamented in the past having lost his faith. He feels a sense of loss about the whole thing. He misses the simplicity of believing that it was all true. And to some extent, I share Brian's kind of sadness about it all. There is a simplicity and a kind of a hope and a comfort in believing it all, thinking you're going to see your loved ones again, thinking that there's a God who's going to make it all okay, and so on and so forth. Well, at least that's part of it. I've also argued vehemently against that, haven't I? There's also the bad and negative side of these beliefs. So people who believe in hell, for example, that's not such a comforting belief, is it? Or when people pass away and people are left with questions like, why God, why? Which kind of actually adds to your grief in a unfortunate and ugly way. So anti-theists are people who don't believe in God and they're happy that it's not true. Whether or not I'm an anti-theist, I kind of go over and back. There are definitely moments where I think to myself, you know what, it's great that this isn't true. I've argued, I think quite strongly on this channel, that it's a good thing that it's not real or that it's not true, because an afterlife actually devalues our existence here on earth. An afterlife actually devalues those precious moments that we have with our loved ones for 80 or 90 years or however long we have before we all return to nothingness, essentially. I do wonder, I've hypothesized, and I think it's quite persuasive, that if indeed it were true that there's an infinite afterlife, that this life becomes nothing but a waiting room. And it devalues this life, right? We would have no reason to get out of bed in the morning if we knew we were getting an eternity after we died. So in that sense, I guess, Callum, I'm an anti-theist. I'm quite happy to believe that there isn't a heaven. I'm quite happy to think that there isn't an eye in the sky who's watching my every move. As Christopher Hitchens put it, religion and, theism as it's constructed is quite... I mean, he calls it totalitarian, and I'm tempted to agree with him. I mean, think about it. This God is unelected and unalterable, and there's nothing we can do about his whims, his demands, what he desires, right? We can't elect him out. We can't put a new person in his place and so on. It's an all-seeing, all-knowing, unalterable power that we are subject to. And so there is a totalitarian aspect to it, and I guess I am happy that that's not true. Now, would I like to see my loved ones again? I think so. Does that mean that I'm not an anti-theist? Of course we all yearn to see our loved ones who have passed away. That isn't necessarily synonymous, however, with the idea of wanting there to be an all-knowing, all-powerful, unalterable dictator in the sky. So I guess, Callum, I'm an anti-theist, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, now that I'm saying these things out loud, I guess I am an anti-theist. I'm not only a person who doesn't believe in God. I'm not only a person who doubts the existence of heaven and Jesus and the resurrection and Allah and Muhammad flying to heaven on a winged horse and all those things. I not only doubt and disbelieve all those things, but I'm, I guess, quite happy that they're not true. I think our life is more precious and more valuable given the fact that it is short, and that when it does end, it's over and we're gone forever. That is the thing that gives us value. So yeah, thank you for the question, Callum. I really appreciate it, because the question has spurred on some thoughts right now, and I guess I should really be self-identifying as an anti-theist and an atheist. And so yeah, those are my thoughts on anti-theism, Callum. I hope you enjoyed the answer. Thank you very much for submitting the question. And like I said in the opening of this section of the video, guys, if you want to submit a question like Callum did, you can sign up for that tier on Patreon. The link can be found in the description below. And yeah, I hope to answer many more questions. Other than that, guys, thank you very much for watching this video, and an extra special thank you to my patrons, without whom this channel could not continue to survive. And so, guys, if you want to gain access to all sorts of bonuses, perks, and extras, including having your questions answered in a video, accreditation, and even a potential Skype call with yours truly, Magic Skeptic, well then jump into the description below and you'll find the link to my Patreon. I hope to see you there. Guys, thank you for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. All the best. Bye-bye.